Well, all right. So I see there's a lot of anti-gun protests happening by people who are in high school over the country now. They really think that they have a right, I guess, to skip class because they, get to protest about guns now. I mean, what the fuck is this? I mean, I totally support punishing kids that skip class. You can't just skip class whenever the fuck you want because you want to protest. As a person, as an adult, you have responsibilities in life, and these schools should be teaching kids that, if you skip school for no reason or you don't show up to class, that's not good. That's not good, because if you do that with work, if you say, well, I'm just going to go protest today, I'm not going to go to work, you're going to get punished for that. You can't do that. You cannot do that shit. So this is ridiculous. How kids are just not even going to school. They feel like they get to have the day off. It's totally ridiculous. Now, if you want to go after school or before school or on the weekends or when you don't have school, that's perfectly fine. I am totally for the First Amendment. And by the way, too, CNN and all these news networks are putting these kids on the front page, on the television screen. Oh, look at the survivors from Stoneman Douglas. Look at all the kids across the country and all the people affected by school shootings. Look at them protesting and saying we should limit the Second Amendment. They don't do this when there's been people killed by illegal aliens. They don't. I'm sure they don't have parents of children who were killed by illegal aliens, do they? They don't put them on. No, they don't, because they have an agenda. And we should not let people who have been victims of certain crimes like illegal immigration or terrorism or school shootings have a bigger say in policy. In fact, it should be the opposite. I mean, these people are people who have gone through a lot. That they have emotion in the game. These are not. I don't want the parents of Kate Steinle making policy on immigration. I don't want the parents of that guy who was killed in North Korea, I forgot his name, making policy decisions on North Korea. Do they have a First Amendment? Yeah, but they don't get any more say in the policy decisions than I do as a citizen. And like I said, if you go through a traumatizing event like that, your opinion is probably going to be more emotionally driven and not as reasonable. So, like I said, I don't want those people making policy decisions. Do they have a First Amendment? Yeah, obviously everybody does. But let's not kowtow to their demands. Let's not, let's have a reasonable conversation about it. Let's look at all sides of it. So now what the media is going to do is hide behind these children and say, oh, you're going against the survivors of school shootings. They're going to hide behind them and use them as pawns in their game to try to get their anti-gun agenda across. And trust me, they're coming for the guns, people. They're coming for all the guns. You see politicians saying, oh, look at what Australia did. Look at what Great Britain did, taking away most of the firearms. So, and then I heard they had a big CNN town hall with scripted questions. One of the students said that he wanted to ask a question about having armed security guards in schools. But of course, CNN said, no, you can't ask that. And they gave him a scripted question. How typical of fake news CNN to do something like that. So everybody has a right to protest. But if you skip out on work or if you skip out on school to go protest, then there's going to be consequences, and those kids should be punished, should be put into detention or whatever the fuck, have some kind of punishment, because you can't just get away with that shit. That's ridiculous. You have to go to school. Just because you disagree with some politic decision that's made in Washington, you can't not go to school. Fucking idiots. I mean, I'm totally for protest, whatever your opinion is, totally for protesting after school, but there's going to be consequences to pay if you protest during school, or that's what I think should happen. So there you go, people. And yeah, once again, victims of school shootings, victims of illegal immigration, victims of North Korea should not be making policy decisions on that topic. Because they are emotionally driven. I'm sure that after their kid was killed in North Korea, they probably wanted to nuke the whole country. So policy decisions should not be made by victims of that policy. That's my opinion, and I agree with that. Again, when it comes to illegal immigration and when it comes to school shootings. But of course, it's typical politics to use victims of some sort of political issue to try to get your agenda across. It happens both on the left and on the right. But I'm not for hiding behind victims and saying, "Oh, look at the survivors of Stoneman Douglas." You're going against what they're saying. You're against the kids. Well, there's also many kids who are, like I said, the guy, the high schooler there who's part of the rifle team that again wanted to ask a question about having security guards inside of the schools. Well, he got censored. What does that tell you? It tells you that they have an agenda, and the only kids that you're going to hear from are kids who want to limit the Second Amendment, not kids that are for the Second Amendment, because again, that's the agenda. So there you go, people. There's my thoughts on that.